Hello! This is a video I didn't think I would make, but here we are. Barbie. The Barbie movie. I have a lot to say on this, and I have a lot of good, and I do have some bad, but I have a lot of good, which surprised me. And I went to see it, and it was fun. And I'm going to start with the good. Margot Robbie was perfect casting as Barbie. I like Margot Robbie. I remember her in her Neighbours days. She is funny. She holds it well. It was perfect casting. There is no way around that. Perfect. And Ryan Gosling as Ken. I like him. In most of the films I see Ryan Gosling in, I like him. And I'm old enough to remember him as young Hercules. So that's a thing. And I think actually overall the casting was really good. It was really fun. It did really well. And I think the set design, the costumes were great. And I actually laughed quite a few times watching this film. I haven't laughed like this at a film in a long time because it is funny, mostly. And it works. This film gets really weird, by the way. I do give kudos to the Barbie houses. I had to giggle at that. Like it was like a pink powder puff explosion, and I'm actually surprised I enjoyed it. But I do have some complaints. One thing I will say is that I'm glad Amy Schuster wasn't cast in this film. I'm glad, and Anne Hathaway was also considered. I think she would have been good, but I don't know if she would have been as funny as Margot Robbie. Like, it works. And anyone who thinks Amy Schuster is funny really needs to get a touch grass. She's not funny. Let's be real. It is a genuinely funny film, and I was surprised that I actually liked it. Here are my complaints, though. I don't think this film is for children. I don't know why the marketing is very much different to the tone of the movie. The marketing is terrible, and I don't think I'm surprised the age rating on this movie. It's kind of a unevenness towards the end as well, and it's really haphazard with everything. It's rated 12A in the UK, but I'm actually surprised that it is. I really am. I don't think this film is appropriate for that age group. I think the humor is very meta, and I think some of the content is not necessarily age appropriate. And my friend, who I went to see it with, is a doll collector, and she was like, I remember that costume. Oh, that costume's from this. It was quite funny to watch her light up, but we both actually had the same complaints. Find it really strange that this film is so hyper fixated on feminism. You can do a feminist themed movie without it being as clumsy as this. This was a clumsy film, and the messages are extremely clumsy. It's not handled in a particularly good way, especially the second half of the movie. That's what I found strange. Like, it's almost two films chopped together. The first half is this weird, meta, quite self-evident, self-own, and then the second half is weirdly paced and oddly preachy. And that's something that I think it missed the mark there. They could have done this in such a better way. I did read an article by someone who I cannot stand on Twitter. They run a blog and they're an air quotes scholar. And they're like, Ken is an allegory. He's transmasculine. No, he's not. He is the cell phone of the movie. It's not that deep. This film is not that deep. It's really not. The fact that I will say it laughs at itself, and it laughs at the whole concept of itself. It laughs at Mattel. It laughs at Barbie. It laughs at Ken. It literally is, especially the first half, is this meta cell phone, and it's unfortunate that the second half isn't strong. One of the things I found was that the film, and I will say that it does feel too long. It's not a super long movie. It's 114 minutes, which is refreshing in this day and age with movies. Oh, the 2.5 hour remake of The Little Mermaid. but I think this could be trimmed down to 80 minutes quite easily. There was a lot of stuff that could easily be cut that felt kind of, the only way I can describe it is that it felt kind of just put in there for runtime, and that affects the pacing, especially at the end. Like, the pacing is just a weird pain. I did laugh at some of the cameos though. I did. I laughed at some of the cameos. You had there were moments, there was there was the Ken cameos were hilarious, and I really couldn't get over them. You have Scott Evans, you have John Cena as Merman Ken, or Ken Maid. Um, Rob Brydon as Sugar Daddy Ken, which I just had to laugh my head off. And Earring Magic Ken turned up in this film. My friend next to me squealed. Um, it was funny. It was funny. And then, I mean, the whole first half of the movie and everything Barbie Land, and I think that's what my friend said, and I said it would have been more fun if this had just stayed in Barbie Land and kept everything going in that little bubble rather than coming into the real world. Um, I will give major credit to the design of the film, though. The architecture, so that mid-century modernist architecture from Palm Springs, and it worked. Like I said, it's the whole Barbie Land thing. Everything is this very aesthetically pleasing, surreal pink powder puff, and the second half of the movie just feels kind of disjointed and out of place. It's it's not a bad movie by any means, but it's not a particularly good movie. The second half is what lets it down, and I wish that second half was tighter. I wish it was edited a bit better. I wish the messaging and the very oddly preachy tone that the second half of the movie takes was toned down. Um, it just, there was ways to do it. There was a lot of good music, by the way, and I mean that. There was a lot of good music. There was a lot of the soundtrack is great fun, and again, that surreal meta humor that runs through that first half is definitely comes through, and I'm glad there was a nod to Aqua's Barbie Girl. I'm actually surprised they did that because of the lawsuit in the 90s, but it worked. I just wish that second half. I wish that second half of the movie was as fun and as interesting as the first half. And that's where it let itself down. That's where it kind of fell flat. And there's a lot of, especially in the first half, like I said, there's a lot of meta humor. It's very self-owning. It's poking fun at the brand, at the company, and then it falls into this bizarre, preachy, overly complicated second half that just feels so out of place to it. And it's kind of a shame. I think it could have been, I think if this had been done slightly differently, it could have been a particularly good film. It has been banned in Vietnam. So that's a thing, because of the map. That's a whole thing. The 9 dash line controversy. Just Google it. It's fascinating. But yeah, it's just kind of, I don't know. It could have been a fantastic movie. It could have been something really, if they just kept that tone of the first half and kept that meta self-owning humor throughout, I think it would have been a much stronger film. And it's a shame that it's let down by it, but none of the, I don't, like I said at the beginning, this is not appropriate for children. This is not a kids movie. I think in the UK it should have been rated to 15. It just, that's being real about it. And I don't think, I think a lot of the humor and I think a lot of the stuff in the film will go over kids' heads. And I did note a few kids in the audience that were obviously quite bored. So that was quite an interesting one. So tell me what you think in the comments below. This film is such a weird mixed bag, and there it is. I will talk to you guys later.